I'm going to bring in Ladderberg Thalman Asset Management's Phil Blancato, along with the president of Bolvin Wealth Management Group, Gina Bolvin. Phil, I'll start with you. The Atlanta Fed, it breaks out consumer prices in two buckets, two types of inflation, if you will, flexible and sticky. Right now, they're saying the big spike in inflation is flexible, things that people address quickly. Does that make you less worried? I know you've been concerned. Does it make you less worried about runaway inflation?
No, I don't. Unfortunately, when you begin to affect psyche, think about what we're paying for gasoline, $3.20 a gallon in Pennsylvania over the weekend that I saw. But more importantly, rents. Think about how much rents have been held back because of policy. Once that unwinds in the coming months and rents push significantly higher, that's sticky. So I still think a 10-year breaks above 2%. I still think we have sustained inflation for the next 6 quarters at least. Some is transitory, but the real costs to the end consumer are hurting in corn, soy, oil, and so on, and it's here to stay for quite a while.
Gina?
You know, I like your music, and I don't think it's running too hot, Charles. I think that the spike in the CPI is caused by some bottleneck supply issues and labor shortages that are going to work itself out. So in this environment, you know, we do like value stocks. They will continue to do well. But my clients want to know what to do with their investments if there is inflation. And at the end of the day, the best hedge against inflation is to be in stocks long term.
Hey, Gina, I want to point out something to your attention, too, because, you know, demand was pent up. It's there. But now there are signs that it's starting to wane a little bit. Indications to buy homes and cars, this is from the Michigan Sentiment Report, they've actually plunged. So how likely is it that demand, after that knee-jerk, you know, hey, we finally can do everything, could sort of evaporate a little bit? We get equilibrium back into the economy.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we're starting to see, even over the last few days, some changes in the housing market. So I think there's good news and there's some bad news, right? The inventory has started to increase after hitting a record low in April. So that is the good news. And the bad news is that at this current pace, it's probably going to take about 12 to 18 months for inventories to normalize. So we really had the perfect storm in the housing market with low rates, with a pandemic where everybody needed work from home space that fueled demand. We have millennials entering the housing market, and we had consumers sitting on a tremendous amount of cash. But it's going to take some time for these inventories to normalize.
You know, one commodity that's sort of lagged, but not anymore, it looks like, Phil, crude oil is breaking out here. How high do you think it can go, and how much exposure should our viewers have?
You should have plenty. To my point about inflation, inflation is not necessarily a bad thing. It finally gets the Fed out of the way, and it lets the other side of the economy start to grow, specifically energy. Energy prices are still fair. You're going to see a lift off inflation, which correlates to commodities, which correlates to oil. $80 a barrel makes sense to me. Even with OPEC turning back on to a degree and Russia, you have an opportunity to gain based on demand. With all this pent-up savings, 14% savings rate, $1 trillion in cash being spent on the housing market and other items along the way, one principal area is going to be the oil and all the byproducts of it, as well as what we drive. It's an opportunity to play the value sector, be in energy, be the leading sector of the year, and continue to make money from it. I think it's just the beginning of a long bull market in energy, specifically oil.
Yeah, you know, I tend to agree. Sometimes people feel like they missed it, but if we go to the $80 you're talking about, there's going to be a whole lot of money made in the oil patch. Phil, Gina, thank you both very much, folks.